There are bonds that are not explained by touch, desire, or visible affinities. These are ties that play such a deep point in our being that they escape any rational explanation. For Carl Jung, one of the big names in analytical psychology, these meetings do not happen by chance. They are guided by internal forces we are unaware of. According to him, it is not just the attraction that unites us with certain people. There is a silent call from the unconscious. This call manifests itself more clearly when we are facing someone who activates hidden parts of ourselves. Jung called this process of individuation the way to become who is really, and often this path is revealed through love encounter. But how do you know if those who are by our side really be significant for this process? How to differentiate an intense but passing passion from a bond shaped deep in the psyche? Jung believed that certain meetings have a hidden meaning, even if at first glance they seem casual. To name these moments marked by hidden meaning, he created the concept of synchronicity, situations that present themselves as coincidences, but carry a symbolic intention of the unconscious. When two people meet in similar phases of pain, desire, or transformation, he said he is the collective unconscious that acts, orchestrating this reunion of souls. If you are connecting with this content and reflecting on the depth of what we are exploring here, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. Thus, you do not lose any new video that can help you understand even more about the true meaning of love and relationships. And if this video made sense to you, be sure to leave your like. It helps to bring this message to more people who are also looking for deep answers to their own love stories. Now tell me one thing, what is your opinion about all this? Do you believe that true love is really a path of self-discovery and transformation, as we discussed? Which city are you watching from? I would love to know where you are so that we can create an even stronger community, exchanging experiences and learning about this unique process of personal and loving evolution. Share this video with someone who can benefit from this reflection. Let's get these ideas together and grow with maturity and courage in our own journeys. And it is at this moment that we feel something almost magical, a sense of recognition, as if that person had been part of our lives for a long time. This sensation cannot be forced or explained. It just happens. And when this happens, something inside us moves forever. Interestingly, these striking encounters usually emerge in the midst of chaos, periods of loneliness, crises, or drastic changes. Jung said that at these times, the soul seeks to heal itself through the other. It is in this turbulent scenario that unconscious forces emerge, bringing out what needs to be looked, welcomed, and transformed. So if you feel that this meeting had something special, that it carries a subtle call to self-knowledge, maybe it's time to listen more carefully. For Jung, love does not begin when we enchant, but when we see sincerely in the reflection of the other. And this is just the beginning of a deeper crossing. True love for him was not the union of halves that are sought, but the communion between two whole people, each already in the process of integration with themselves. In other words, no one will come to rescue you from yourself. No one is able to fill the void within us, just as no one should carry the weight of our happiness. For Carl Jung, the person we consider certain is not the one who only makes us feel complete, but the one who challenges us to make us who we really are. The true connection happens when someone appears to reflect aspects of ourselves that we do not yet recognize, even the darker parts we try to hide. This projection of our own shadows, according to Jung, is an essential part of our inner process. The shadow represents all that we repress or deny ourselves. And it is interesting to realize that often when we fall in love, we project in the other these parts of ours that we do not want to see. This projection can at the same time be an opportunity for transformation or a way for error. And this is where many relationships get confused. We believe we are in love with someone, but in fact we are fascinated by an idealized image created from our own insecurities and needs. And when this fantasy does not materialize, frustration is inevitable. When the person does not correspond to our idealization, feelings such as disappointment, anger, and sadness arise. But Jung saw a precious chance there, the opportunity to get to know each other in a deeper way. The right person for him is not the one who saves us to suffer, but the one who unintentionally reveals parts of ourselves that need to be transformed. True love, according to Jung, is like an alchemical process. It involves pain, confrontation, and often the need to reinvent itself. It's not easy, so it's so rare. It requires more than just emotions. It requires conscience. To really love, we must look inside with courage, vulnerability, and honesty. Jung said that love arises when fear disappears, and the greatest fear we carry is that we are seen as we really are, with our flaws, insecurities, and contradictions. This is one of the reasons why many relationships remain superficial. The fear of facing our own defects and vulnerabilities prevents us from delving into each other. But when two people have the courage to cross this barrier together, something extraordinary happens. They fail to pursue salvation or comfort and go walk side by side as partners on a mutual journey, not to complete themselves, but to transform. This, for Jung, is true love. Not an escape from pain, but a space where even pain can generate growth and wisdom. Imagine now that you find someone and feel that with this person, everything seems to flow perfectly. Tastes, plans for the future, the way they connect. Everything seems to fit, as if the universe had conspired for you to meet. But over time, something begins to change. This person begins to bother you, to challenge you in ways you didn't expect it. She plays at sensitive points, in wounds that you didn't even know they were there. Sometimes it's a simple look, other times a deep silence. And you start to feel uncomfortable, anxious, perhaps even afraid of losing control. For Jung, this is an excellent sign, although it may seem the opposite. True love is not always comfortable. It requires pain, because it is precisely in pain that true growth occurs. When someone activates our shadows, when we are obliged to confront our fears, insecurities, or control needs, it means that the person is serving as a powerful mirror for our soul. And few have the courage to look straight into this mirror without moving away. Genuine love goes beyond enchanted tales, being a transformative psychological process. Carl Jung argued that every profound relationship leads us to explore aspects of the unconscious we still cannot understand. And this process of self-knowledge is precisely the opposite of idealizing someone. The person who really loves us will not confirm our fantasies or illusions. She, consciously or not, will challenge us to evolve. And this growth, however necessary, brings with it discomfort and difficulties. Evolution requires a process of deconstruction. Often the beginning of a relationship is magical, full of tune and lightness. However, as the relationship deepens, new layers of our psyche begin to emerge, bringing out more dense and complex issues. Traumas of the past come to the surface. Insecurities that seemed buried again haunt us. The fear of abandonment, rejection, and loss is more clearly. Here comes a decision point. Many give up at this moment, convinced that true love does not exist. However, Jung saw right now the beginning of true love, because it is only when we feel vulnerable enough to be genuine that we really allow ourselves to be seen. No more like the idealized version of ourselves, but as imperfect human beings, full of fears and insecurities. If the other person remains by our side, even in the face of our vulnerability, it is a sign that there is something deeper and more true in the relationship. True love, for Jung, is not made of an eternal and unbreakable passion, but of a constant presence. He is sure that even in the most difficult periods, someone chooses to continue by his side. And this choice is not motivated by a sense of obligation, but by the deep recognition of who we are, with all our ups and downs. This form of love is the path of individuation that Jung defended, one journey that begins with the other, but in the end leads us to a profound encounter with ourselves, making us more whole, conscious, and especially more authentic. Another crucial point of Jungian psychology is the concept of anima and animus. Within each man, there is an unconscious image of the feminine, anima, and within each woman, an image of the masculine, the animus. These internal representations are formed throughout life, especially in the early interactions with opposite sex figures, such as parents. Although we are not fully aware of these images, they intensely influence the choices we make in relationships. When we find someone who activates this inner image, it is common to feel an irresistible attraction, as if it were almost spiritual. We believe we have found the soulmate, the perfect pair, but in fact we are seeing the reflection of our own psyche projected on that person. Jung called this a soul projection, and he pointed out that this could be the root of great disappointments, as no real person can forever support the idealized image we created. When this fantasy begins to collapse and the reality of the other imposes itself, with all its imperfections, it is common for the charm to break and the relationship between in crisis. True love is often revealed in the crises that arise in relationships. These moments of disruption are not, as many imagine, the end of the story, but a fresh start. They offer a unique chance of seeing each other not as an idealization, but as a real person, with all their shadows and imperfections. When we leave behind the archetypal image of the perfect partner and see his humanity, love becomes deeper and more true. But for many, this is a challenging task. We are used to living in the certainties of illusion, in the comfort zone of perfection. But Jung offers us a courageous proposal to use the fall of idealization as an opportunity to integrate. When we realize that the idealized image of the other is just a projection of what is in us, we take a decisive step on our internal journey. The partner is no longer an object of desire and becomes a mirror, reflecting our own conflicts and needs. At this point, we realize that the answers to who we really are not in the other, but in ourselves. This self-discovery process is one of the biggest challenges a relationship can offer us. Genuine love, therefore, is not the one who feeds our fantasies, but what resists the impact of reality. It requires that we accept that the other is not our half or our savior, but a human being with failures and vulnerabilities, walking beside us on a journey of growth. The big question about finding the right person is not based on the search for a perfect being, but on that person's ability to allow us to be who we are, without masks, and if they are also able to do the same. The relationship that thrives is one that offers space for honest dialogue, growth, and facing difficulties without fear. Jung teaches us that true love is not one who is unconditionally complaining, but the one who exists in creative tension between two people who are constantly transformed. Each human being is a world apart, carrying a story, a set of pain and archetypes that influence their way of relating. When two of these worlds meet, there is beauty, but also the inevitable conflict. The challenge is how to support this tension without resorting to control or escape. Jung believed that love relationships are true healing fields, in which we can confront our oldest wounds while giving vent to our highest potential. Therefore, the right person is not the one who always understands us, but who strives to understand us, even when this is difficult. The true encounter happens when there is reciprocity in this effort, when there is patience and a genuine listening, willing to grow together. The love that is born of projection and emotional dependence inevitably leads to frustration, but conscious love, the one founded on self, knowledge, and mutual respect, has the power to heal. And this cure goes beyond the emotional plane. It is a deep transformation that touches our soul and changes the way we relate to each other and ourselves. Loving and being loved by whom we really are, with all our imperfections, is one of the greatest gifts we can live. To find out if someone is the right person for you, it is necessary to observe not only what they offer, but what it makes awakening to you. If this person invites you to be more authentic, freer, more complete, even if it involves pain and discomfort, you may be facing a genuine love. This love is not idealized, but it is real. And then, what do you do in silence? How to know if this person is really for you? There is no simple answer, a magic formula, or a definitive list. What Jung suggests is looking at this meeting in a deeper, almost spiritual way, understanding it as a process between two souls. For him, true love is not the one that happens suddenly, disarms us, and takes us on the edge of the abyss, but it is a continuous process. When you are with someone who awakens you, drives you to want to know each other more, to face your trauma, to cure your wounds, and be a more complete version of yourself, this is no coincidence. Jung would call this synchronicity, a mysterious alignment among the unconscious of two people creating the perfect environment for their growth. If this person enters your life and reminds you of who you really are, this is a strong indicative that they play an important role in your individuation process. However, it must be remembered that this does not mean that the path will be easy. Often, the most transformative relationships are also the most challenging because, for the soul, what it seeks is not comfort, but expansion. And no one makes us expand more than that person we find with what Jung called the most beautiful and the darkest of ourselves. And if this bond remains even after the masks fall, even when the passion gives way to a raw and more true intimacy, then you may be facing something rare. True love for Jung is the one who resists the truth. He is born of the recognition of both the shadow and the light of the other. It is presence and does not nullify individuality. On the contrary, it strengthens it. Therefore, if that person does not try to shape you, but inspires you to evolve, if she reveals to you your own wounds, but also welcomes you with hers, if she chooses to stay by your side, even when it will be the easiest option, you may have found a love that goes beyond what the ego can understand, a love that speaks to the soul. And in this case, the real question is not if she is the right person for you, but if you are ready for this meeting. True love is not about finding someone perfect, but being willing to grow, live, and become an imperfect one, just like you. Throughout his work, Jung has made it clear that the biggest challenge of human beings is to become aware of his attitudes, as it is much easier to follow unconscious patterns, repeat stories, and choose partners that only confirm our fears or feed our illusions. But genuine love for Jung requires a courageous decision, leaving the autopilot and seeing the other as a way to self-knowledge itself. True love is not based on empty promises or the idea of an ideal compatibility, but in mutual courage to face the challenges together. This kind of love requires, above all, a deep acceptance of the other's complexities, with the willingness to be present and growing, even when it implies overcoming difficulties. The process of individuation, which is the path of self-knowledge and self-transformation, is what truly allows this love to flourish. The person who fits this process of transformation is not the one who only loves you for what you display to the world, but the one who is willing to look at what you hide, your shadows, and understand who you really are, just as you do the same with it. True love is built with revelations, not illusions. It goes beyond the physical touch, invading the deepest territories of the psychic, the emotional, and even the spiritual. The real encounter happens when two souls defy each other, boosting each other to grow, change, heal, even if it brings pain. Being with someone who leads you to question your own journey is a clear sign that this person is helping you, often unknowingly, to fulfill your psychological destiny. However, this process can only be genuine if there is reciprocity among those involved. Loving someone who refuses to look at himself and evolve is not a meeting of souls, but a relationship of attachment disguised as love. Reciprocity is the basis of a transformative relationship, Both need to be willing to see themselves, to hear what the other has to say, to respect differences, and most importantly, to walk together, even when the path becomes unpredictable. True love is not linear, but spiral, a constant movement towards the center of the soul. When a person helps you go on this path, even with stumbling, they are a fundamental part of your journey of individuation. And this is infinitely more valuable than any romantic ideal or perfect image of love. In the end, the question about whether the right person is by his side does not have a simple or external answer. It can only be answered from what you feel and perceive within you. These are not desires or expectations, but the deep consciousness of your own being. Carl Jung teaches us that true love is not easy or predictable. On the contrary, he challenges us, deconstructs us, takes us out of the comfort zone, and puts us face to face with everything we need to face ourselves. The other, as a mirror, reveals to us who we are and what we can become. If you are with someone who provokes your soul, who drives you to grow and evolve, even when the path seems uncertain, this is the love that transforms. True love is not a prize won, but a continuous journey, often without certainty, but with the feeling that you are exactly where it should be. It is as if when meeting this person, his soul recognizes a part of himself, a piece of his own puzzle. This process can be painful and destabilizing, but it is the only way to rebuild, strengthen, and achieve authenticity. Jung reveals to us that true love is not the one who holds us, but the one who sets us free. It expands us, does not shape us. This is not a mystical destination, but a synchronicity between two souls that are ready to come together in the search for the truth. And while the truth is often difficult to face, it is the fertile ground where genuine love can grow. So don't ask yourself just if this person is right for you. Ask yourself if you are willing to build this love every day with maturity, honesty, and courage. When two human beings do this together, supporting and helping each other to grow, what they live goes far beyond romance. They experience a true psychological miracle, something that, for Jung, is the kind of love capable of transforming the world. And now, thinking of everything we talk about true love, how it can turn our lives and challenge us to grow, I want to know about you. Have you been through such an experience, where a relationship has really challenged you to become a better person, to face your own fears and limitations? Or who knows, are you still looking for this kind of connection? The truth is that love, as we have seen, is not just about beautiful and happy moments, but about what it teaches us and how it drives us for deep evolution, even if it involves pain and discomfort. I want to know, have you ever felt like this in some relationship? How did this impact your life and your vision on love? If the content has touched you in any way, be sure to leave your like. This helps the channel grow and bring these messages to more people who are also looking for this kind of reflection. And of course, subscribe not to lose the next videos, where we will continue to explore topics that move with the heart and mind. Oh, and before you finish, tell me, where are you watching? What city is yours? I want to know more about you and how the ideas we share here can impact your life. Leave your comment, share your experience, and let's follow this journey together. We see each other in the next video.